Now in second part, we talk about chemical properties of metals. On first part, we read about the physical properties of metals and non-metals. Here now we talk about the chemical properties of metals and non-metals. Firstly, action of oxygen on metal. Oxygen is a gas, okay? So what is the effect of oxygen on metal, or when we kept metal in oxygen, in the presence of oxygen, so what the effect we make or we see? First is metal react with oxygen to form oxides. Means जब कोई भी मेटल ऑक्सीजन से रिएक्ट करेगा तो उसका क्या बनेगा? ऑक्साइड, which are generally basic in nature and turn red litmus blue. And mostly oxides are basic in nature, or in basic nature red litmus turns into blue, or in acidic nature blue litmus turns into red. Okay, so here we take see some examples. First is Mg stands for magnesium, and magnesium is a metal. Here you see a table 4.2. There are some symbols of metals. First is silver. Silver stands for Ag. First letter of all these elements should be capital and the second letter is small. Aluminium stands for Al, gold Au, copper Cu, and you have to learn these metal symbols. So Mg stands for magnesium. O2 is a oxygen gas. When these two metals combine to form a metal oxide, okay, means magnesium oxide, and magnesium oxide is basic in nature. Similarly for sodium and zinc. Now metals like sodium and potassium react with oxygen readily and form their oxides. So they are stored in kerosene. Sodium, symbol of sodium is Na. Potassium, symbol of potassium is K. These two metals are kept under a kerosene because when they react with oxygen, they catches fire immediately. So these two metals are kept under a kerosene oil. Okay, if I ask you a question, which elements are kept inside the kerosene? So the elements are sodium and potassium. Okay. Next is magnesium, iron and aluminium react slowly with oxygen. When left exposed to air for a long time, here you can take an example of iron. Okay, when iron kept under a sunlight or rainfall, it gets a corrosion. Okay, corrosion means आप जब लोहे को हवा के अंदर रखोगे, ठीक है, या फिर उसके ऊपर जब पानी पड़ता रहेगा तो उससे क्या होगा, जो आयरन है वो किससे एक्सपोज होगा? ऑक्सीजन से, ठीक है। जब वो ऑक्सीजन और एयर के साथ, ह्यूमिडिटी के साथ जब वो एक्सपोज होगा तो उसके ऊपर क्या लग जाएगी? जर, जिसको हम क्या कहेंगे? corrosion of iron. Okay, similarly these phenomena is involved in magnesium and aluminium also, and also in copper. When a copper get corrode, then it requires a green in color, or it appears in green in color. Next is when magnesium ribbon is burned in air, it produces a white flame light, and that after that that white powder is formed, and this white powder is magnesium oxide. Next is these two reactions are given when copper or iron get corrosion. Okay, means Cu stands for copper. When copper react with water, air, okay, or CO2 gas, it forms a copper oxide. Okay. Next of iron, Fe is symbol of iron, O2 is gas, H2 is water. When iron is react with oxygen or water, it forms a ferric oxide and water. Next is action of water on metals. On first, we read the action of oxygen on metal. Here we talk about the action of water on metal. Water means H2O. Here sodium and potassium react vigorously with cold water and form soluble hydroxide and hydrogen gas. As we talk about that, sodium and potassium are kept under a kerosene oil because when they react with oxygen or hydrogen, they react easily or fast and produces a pop sound and fire. Next is, if we react sodium Na with water, then it forms a sodium hydroxide and release a hydrogen gas. The symbol of oxide is OH, or the symbol of oxide only, that is O. Similarly, these reactions, Na with water, potassium with water, magnesium with water and iron with water. Those elements which do not react with oxygen or water, these metals are known as noble metals. For example, silver, gold and platinum, they don't react with steam, water or oxygen. So these are called the noble metals. Next, action of acids on metal. First we talk the action of oxygen. Second is action of water on metals. Third is action of acid on metal. The basic equation that you have learned is metal. When metal react with acid, it forms a salt and produces hydrogen gas with heat energy. Here Mg is a magnesium, aluminium is Al, zinc, sodium and iron. These all are the metals. Here HCl is hydrochloric acid and H2SO4 is a hydrogen sulfuric acid. Okay. Here now when magnesium react with HCl, it evolves a hydrogen gas with salt. Here which salt is formed? That is magnesium chloride. In second, the salt is formed aluminium chloride with the evaluation of hydrogen gas. Next is zinc sulfate with the evaluation of hydrogen gas. Sodium chloride with the evaluation of hydrogen gas. Means these all metals evolves hydrogen gas or salt when they react with acid. Next, action of base. Base, what are bases when metals react with oxides? Okay, most metals do not react with base. Aluminium, lead and zinc, these are the strong base. When we react the aluminium with base, here what is a base? That is sodium hydroxide with water, then it also evolves a hydrogen gas with the basic nature of sodium aluminium oxide. Next is a displacement reaction. Before we learning the displacement reaction, you can see a table number 4.5 reactivity series of metals. On this table, metals that are present on top having a high reactivity series. As we go down, the reactivity of a metal decreases one by one. So the most reactive metal, that is potassium, and the least reactive metal is platinum. Before we discuss displacement reaction, let us first understand the reactivity series of metals. In this reactivity series, the most reactive metal is placed at the top, whereas least reactive metal is placed at the bottom. So, what is a displacement reaction? A more reactive metal can displace a less reactive metal from its salt solution. मतलब जो सबसे ज़्यादा रिएक्टिव मेटल है वो जो कम रिएक्टिव मेटल है उसको क्या है अपने रिएक्शन से बाहर कर देगा, ठीक है, आउट कर देगा. सो हेयर वी टेक अ एग्जांपल ऑफ आयरन. द सिंबल ऑफ आयरन इज Fe. So when we react the iron with copper sulfate, it replaces copper and forms a iron sulfate. Why iron replaces a copper? Because iron is more reactive than copper. Okay. Next is magnesium replaces copper from copper sulfate because magnesium is also most reactive than copper, similarly as zinc. Next, three reactions having no reaction. Iron plus zinc sulfate. Here zinc is more reactive than iron, so iron is weaker than zinc, so iron cannot replace zinc from zinc sulfate, so this reaction cannot take place. Similarly for copper and zinc. Now chemical properties of non-metal. Firstly, we learn the chemical properties of metals. On this, first the action on first action of oxygen, then action of water, action of acid and base. These 4 points we also discuss in non-metals. So firstly, action of oxygen on non-metals. Non-metals do not react with air at room temperature except for white phosphorus, which burns in the air at ordinary temperature and forms its oxide. It is therefore stored under water. Now, in this paragraph, the important thing is which non-metal is kept under water. Okay, so the answer is phosphorus, because when phosphorus reacts with oxygen, it produces a heat and forms its oxide. So it kept under water. Next is carbon and sulfur, when ignited, react with the oxygen in the presence to form their oxides, the solution of which in water is acidic. Means ignited when means when we compress. Here hydrogen and oxygen both are the gases. So when we compress these two gases under a high temperature or pressure, it forms a water. Similarly for carbon, CO2 and SO2. And these are the gases which are acidic in nature and harmful for us. Next is action of water on non-metals. In general, non-metals do not react with water. Oxygen dissolves in water to some extent. This property of solubility of oxygen in water is responsible for the sustenance of plant and animals life under water. मीन्स जो ऑक्सीजन है उसकी प्रॉपर्टी क्या होती है कि वो वाटर में डिजॉल्व हो जाता है, ठीक है, जिसकी वजह से जो प्लांट्स और एनिमल्स हैं उनकी लाइफ में वो एक सर्वाइवल एजेंट की तरह रोल प्ले करता है, ठीक है. और एक्वेटिक प्लांट्स मीन्स ऑल लिविंग थिंग्स दैट आर प्रेजेंट ऑन द सरफेस ऑफ अर्थ. ऑक्सीजन हेल्प्स इन द प्रोसेस ऑफ रेस्पिरेशन. नेक्स्ट इज क्लोरीन. Chlorine, when we dissolve chlorine in water, it forms an acidic solution and kill all the germs that present inside the water. So now uses of metals we discuss in